Good morning. Welcome to YouTooSpain, broadcasting live on YouTube. On today's show, I'll be asking our good friend, financial advisor Lucia Melgarejo, all about how much tax you can expect to pay in 2024. And we'll find out what the latest changes and updates you need to be aware of. Join in on the live chat, wherever that is, on whatever platform you're watching on, or if you're watching the video back afterwards, you can comment in the comments below. This is one of the most important topics on YouTooSpain, according to the viewing figures we get, and the show will be full of information for you all the way through, so stick around for the whole thing. You're all very welcome to YouTooSpain. Let's dance. I like that. Groovy, baby. Right then, just before we get chatting, don't forget to sign up for free to the monthly newsletter from our website, YouTooSpain.com. It's up on the screen all the way through. And that's coming up. It's on the 1st of the month. So get your membership in now. Sign up for that now, so you'll get the newsletter that comes in at the start of February. There's loads of stuff on there for you to read at your leisure. There's links and resources too that you need for your move to Spain and for living here. And a quick mention for our friends at Smart Currency Exchange, who have the best Trustpilot reviews of everybody on the web. I highly recommend them to fix you a forward exchange rate. And what does that mean? Well, I'll have Jack Wiggs, our mate Jack Wiggs, back on the show in February to explain. That's February the 17th, I think, is when he's on the show. But if you need to know more in the meantime, use the link below to get in touch with him for free, and you can get a free account as well. So you may as well do that straight away. It's a good idea to do it well in advance of your move. There's no obligation, doesn't cost you a penny, and it helps YouTooSpain out too. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. So, without further ado, let's meet our wonderful guest today. It's Lucia Melgarejo. Hola, Lucia.
Hola, good morning. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Good.
Looking forward to talk about the taxes, which I love.
Absolutely, yes. Very exciting topic. It's I didn't used to think it was, actually, but now genuinely I think it's quite interesting. I realised actually a few days ago when I was writing up my notes, I've been spelling your name wrong all this time. I've been saying Melgarejo. I did that on the last 2 times you were on, so apologies for that.
No worries.
Yeah,
It's not Smith. It's not Smith. Even for Spanish people, it's complicated to pronounce it and to spell it. So that's okay.
No, it's good. You say Smith, and there's also in England and Wales, Jones is really popular. And when I was trying to do my ancestry, going through my mother's side of the family, her maiden name is Smith, and she also had Jones in the family as well. So when I got a certain number of years back, and just everybody was Smith and Jones, and it was so difficult to find any ancestors at all. But yeah, so there you go. That's just a little sideline.
Of course.
So thanks for coming back on the show. It was really popular the last 2 times, so looking forward to it. I'm going to do a shout out. I've got a message from Chris early this morning. That's Chris from Upsticks, our friend, and he wanted to do a shout out to Terry Locke this morning. Good morning, Terry Locke. He's just successfully got his year 2 and 3 TIE card. Lovely. Happy renewal. He's a massive fan and said it would make his day. Well, your day is made, Terry. So good morning. Welcome to the show. And let's have a look on the live chat to see who's with us this morning. We have Anton Kez, morning, buenos dias a todos, and Barry from Unitech. However much tax we pay, it's always going to be too much, he says. Good morning, Skatz. Of course. Do you know what? I don't know if it's the same all around the world. I'm sure it's the same in Spain as it is in the UK. But some of the most popular characters throughout history have been people who've avoided tax. So it's always been, there's a famous character called Dick Turpin, who was a highwayman who would rob people on the highway and give money to the poor, rob from the rich, and also people who would import goods illegally over the sea. And, you know, you'd get a little boat coming in at night all those kind of people. So they were all the heroes of history. So that's the theory, that nobody ever wants to pay any tax. So Paul Cook, good morning. Robbo, Andy Cooper, Alan Lackenby, Peter Newbury. Lovely weather here in Casares. Yeah, that's close to us. Not many of us Joneses left, says Barry from Unitech. Yes, you're a Jones, of course. Not many of you left? No, there must be loads in Wales. Good morning from Nigel Maguire and Jed Tierney, and to everybody just joining us. So, I tell you what, just for the people who've not seen you before, just give a quick intro about you and Black Tower.
Of course. Thank you very much. So I'm Lucia Melgarejo. I'm financial advisor. I've been working in the industry for nearly 21 years. So that's all I know how to do. I'm not an accountant. However, financial advisors based in Spain have to understand how taxes work in order to be able to help people that are moving to live here or that they are already living in Spain. Because the way that we advise from the financial point of view is very linked to how taxes work in Spain. We are here trying to minimize the tax exposure. And of course, if there are certain things that you can do along the line before you come to live in Spain or while you're living here, of course, I'm here to let you know exactly where to do things and how to do them, how to arrange them on a best way. I don't charge for the meeting, so I need to understand, again, fully the holistic situation that you have. So I'm able to provide a general overview of how we move from your starting point.
Excellent. Well, let's start with the starting points and the basics. When does somebody become a tax resident in Spain?
So the law says in the books and the tax authority's website, which is Hacienda here in Spain, the name, you become tax resident when you are spent here 183 days. So that counts from the 1st of January till the end of December, the 31st of December, which is our tax year. So it's a natural year. Temporary absences are not considered. So you can come in January, go back in February, come back again in March. If overall you have spent in Spain 183 days, then you are classed as tax resident. And one thing to mention here is that you don't get a letter or a message or an email from the tax authorities saying that you now are tax resident. It's just an obligation, and it's something that happens automatically. So you are obliged to start doing your taxes when you spend here over that period, 183 days.
There are a couple of other ways that you can be tax resident, aren't there, as well? If your main source of income is from Spain, is that right?
Exactly. So if you, let's say that somebody moved here in Spain to Spain with their family, and then your kids go to school, but then in the end you are traveling around because of your type of work, then you are tax resident because your main residency with your kids, with your family, with the unidad familiar is located in Spain. That would be another case. And as well, the one that you just mentioned, if your main source of income comes from Spain, so let's say, for example, that you set up a company and then you decided to enjoy your life because you have professionals that are looking after your company, so you can be out of Spain enjoying new areas and places. So because your main source of income is your company in Spain, then you are deemed to Spanish taxes here as well. So they are, apart from those, the number of days, of course, you have to consider the other two links that you may get here.
Great. And it's I think it also counts if you're self-employed, like I was. As soon as you become self-employed and sign on with the Social Security and the tax man, you kind of immediately, even if you've not been in Spain, you start paying your taxes
Exactly,
from
because
day one.
you need to get registered as a self-employed person, and straight away you start paying your Social Security. So that's a starting point of you being tax resident, even though you haven't spent here over 183 days. So that is another key point to consider.
Great.
If you like, Andrew, I can briefly mention the tax obligations when you become tax resident here, which I think is important because we have quite a few deadlines for certain forms that we have in Spain. So I can go through those if you like.
Yes, please.
Now.
Yeah.
Okay, so as soon as you become tax resident, for the reasons or the circumstances that we have just covered, you have to bear in mind that you need to declare, of course, your worldwide income, which includes any property income, any income from pensions or from your own work, or any other type of income, dividends from a company that you may have elsewhere. So those incomes are to be declared on form number 100, which is the general income tax that we need to submit on an annual basis. And that is from May to June following year. So anything that we are doing now, let's say that somebody just started off being self-employed. So any income, although they will need to do a quarterly declaration for only self-employed people and people that are owning a company, you will need to do your annual tax return following year before the end of June. So it would be for next year before June 2025, what we will be declaring from 1st of January 24 till the 31st of December 24. So that's form Modelo 100. That's one. Then we have wealth tax that not in every autonomous region we have to pay because they might be exempt. So it depends on where you are based, which is very important. When you are looking for a tax advisor, of course, they need to be aware of where exactly you are. It's different if you were in Andalusia, or which is the south, or Murcia, which is the southeast, or Madrid, which is right in the center, when they have given you 100% reduction on any wealth tax that you may have. There are certain limits on where you need to qualify for that. But just to let you know that Madrid, Andalusia, and Murcia, they have 100% exemption on that. On the other regions, of course, there are certain amounts that you will need to start declaring, which are above 300,000 for a main residency and above 700,000 for investments or any other assets that you may have. Anything that is on excess of that has to be declared, okay, as a wealth tax. And also the deadline is the end of June 2025. So for somebody that is already here, we need to be aware that for next year, before the end of June, is then when you need to do the Modelo 714. We love to put the names and numbers on the forms. So that's the 714. Then last year, the government introduced a solidarity tax for individuals that have over 3 million as assets. So then they will need to submit an extra tax form, which is form 718, Modelo 718, solidarity tax. And that came into place simply because local governments from different regions, they were giving tax advantages to the people located in those regions. And the central government, of course, was missing out of getting paid on those taxes. So they said, okay, I'm going to introduce a new tax, which is solidarity tax for people that are has over 3 million euros. So you will be liable for taxes if you comply with that status. One form as well that we have, which deadline is the end of March, which is very important for somebody that is already been here last year or has qualified for those 183 days or is self-employed or the things that we covered just before, is the declaration of foreign assets. That's Modelo 720. And again, the deadline is the end of March, 31st of March. And here, what we need to declare is just a declaration. So it's an informative document, it's no tax to pay. stating that we have assets outside of Spain worth over 50,000. So anybody that is located here in Spain and been living here since, for example, let's say June last year, then they would be to need to do that form, the 720. For example, just to give you an idea, I have a property in the UK, I have a property in the United States, or I have a bank account in Emirates, or I have any type of a structures and investment in Sweden, anything that is above 50,000 euros. So no matter the currency, you need to convert that into euros, and you need to declare that you have those assets outside of Spain. So there are 3 asset classes, which are bank accounts, investments, and properties. On those 3 different asset types, you will need to declare if you have over 50,000 euros. Sorry to repeat myself on that, but I know a lot of people that have missed that. And of course, then when you receive the letter with the penalties and interest and anything that you should have done by the end of March, then of course it's better just to know that it's only an informative declaration. So nothing here to pay. This is simply because if you bring money from any other country to Spain, as for example, you are planning to buy a property and you have your bank account in your home country, doesn't really matter where, and you bring 100,000 euros, straight away the bank would receive an alert saying that 100,000 euros. And that gets communicated, informed to the tax authorities. And of course, they could come back to you saying, why haven't you declared those 100,000 euros that you had in your bank account in France, for example? So that could be one of the key, how they can find out, of course.
Great, that is very good to know, yes. Let's have a look at on the live chat, because we've had some questions coming through there. Don't want to miss them out. First of all, Nigel Maguire said, we're going to be covering this in one of my questions anyway, but let's do this now. Recently bought a house in Spain and visit under the 9180-day rules, so they're non-resident. I understand that there is a foreigner's property tax to pay. I don't rent my house out and would like to know how to pay it.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I will cover that. Let me just finish off with that Modelo 720.
Oh, yes.
Because since we had cryptocurrencies around us in cyberspace, we also have to declare that if we have over 50,000 euros worth of cryptocurrencies stored anywhere around the world. So that got introduced last year. So that's a new form, and is form 721, and is to do with the cryptocurrency. So it's declaration of foreign cryptocurrencies. Anything to do with that has to be informed, not paid, just informed. Okay, so that's deadline again before the 31st of March this year for somebody that is resident and tax resident here already. So sorry about that. Let me go back to Nigel. For somebody that is non-resident and has a property here in Spain, before the end of each calendar year, so it would be before the end of before the 31st of December 2024, you need to do a modelo for non-residents, a declaration. There you need to declare that you have another asset that of course is a second home for you, because as you are not a resident, your main residency should be elsewhere. So the tax authorities here look at that as your second property, your second home. So that has a tax assigned to the cadastral value of your property. You can find the cadastral value on the IBI that you would have to pay on an annual basis as well to the town hall, to the local town hall. There you have the cadastral value. So it's nothing to do with the value of the property or what you paid. It's to do with the cadastral value that is registered on each individual town hall. And that has to be submitted and paid. It's not much. I mean, it depends on the cadastral value again, but it could vary from 200 euros to 400, something like that on an annual basis. Again, according to the value, cadastral value of that. And that has to be submitted individually. So if you bought the property in joint names, spouses, man and wife, then you have to do a modelo for non-resident for Mr. and modelo for non-resident for Mrs. or for Mr. and Mr. or Mrs. and Mrs. So it depends on how many people are the owners of the property. You will need to do one single form for that. That is only if you are, well, if you only have a property and you're not renting it out. If you would be renting it out and you are non-resident, those incomes would have to be added onto that form for non-residents as well. Okay, so it would be things to add over there. And of course, you can offset any payments that you have for community fees, for mortgage, for certain things that you can deduct on the income that you have been generating throughout the year. Okay.
So how do you pay it? If you're outside the country, is there a way of paying it online, or do you
Of
have
course,
to be here?
I always recommend to get your digital signature done when you come and buy a property, because you have access yourself, or your gestor, your accountant, the one that would be doing that for you if you don't know, or you're not located here, or you don't understand the system, because it's quite complicated, and we tend to change it on a not daily basis, but on an annual basis, 100%. So you need to be on the top of that. Having your digital signature, and your gestor can do that for you yourself. So he can present that on your behalf. My gestor, for example, my accountant, has my digital signature, and he submits every taxes himself online, so I don't need to worry about anything. And you just state the account number where you want to have that direct debited there.
Okay.
And again, deadline 31st of December, sorry.
Great. Just in case there are people out there who haven't got the digital certificate, is there another way of paying?
Yes. When you do the form, you get a page, an A4 page, and right at the end you have a code, like how do you say, when you go to the supermarket? I don't know how to say that.
Coupon, maybe? No.
It's not a QR. It's something that with full of numbers.
Yeah.
And then when you can go online onto your bank account and then get it paid. You can download the barcode.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. That's the one. Yeah. So you can download the form from the official website. I can send you the link later on to you, Skatz, if you like. So you can put it on the comments there, so people can go and download it. And then with the numbers that you have there, all the codes, then you can do that online from your Spanish bank. No problem.
Excellent. Hope that covers everything, Nigel. Let's move on then to Alan Lackenby. As a married couple on the non-lucrative visa, not claiming any pension as yet, I don't think I have enough savings to pay any tax. Do I still need to fill out any tax forms? That's a good question.
Okay, so if you are living off your savings and you are here in Spain, so you are classed as tax resident, of course, you are not generating any income. You are just living off the money that you managed to save during your working life. So, of course, that's not taxable at all on that. Different would be if you had. That's a very generic question without knowing anything else. But give you another example. You have a property. You live in here in Spain of your savings, and you bought two properties. One, which is your main property, your main residency, and the other one is a second home. So then, yes, you will need to do the taxes, the Modelo 100, which is deadline before the end of June, because you have two properties. Okay, so one which is main and the other one which is a secondary. And that applies to every single individual that is tax resident in Spain, no matter whether you're foreigner, you're Spanish, it doesn't really matter. It's to everybody that has this situation. And when you start getting a pension, for example, from a state pension or any private pension, then we will need to review if you get to the minimum, which is around 20,000 a year per person, euros, in order to be liable for any taxes here in Spain, or have the obligation of paying taxes here in Spain. But that's something that we will need to run through specifically with the different case by case.
Great. I have heard actually a lot of people saying on Facebook and social media that it's a good idea to fill out a tax form every year anyway, just to declare, even if you're not going to be paying any taxes, because that will come in handy, could come in handy in the future if you need to just show the tax forms and prove that you've, especially as if you're on the non-lucrative visa. I think by the time you get to 5 years and you're looking to get your permanent residency, it's a good idea to have all your tax forms, tax declaration forms there.
Yes, that's always my recommendation. Even though if you don't have to pay, you might, in specific cases, of course, don't take that as a rule. In specific cases, if you fill out your forms, you might get even money back. So it's always good, even if you don't qualify to the minimum, just to have a calculation with a proper accountant. In order to see whether even maybe zero or even some money back. So it's good, as you said, to have those forms filed, so you are already in the system here in Spain.
Yeah, great. Let's see, Steffi. Good morning, Steffi. If I have my own UK company with staff and I'm paid as an employee, when I move to Spain on the digital nomad visa, do I pay tax in both countries? That's another question I have. So double tax treaty, what's that all about?
Yeah, there is a double tax treaty, and because you are mentioning, Steffi, the UK, there is a double taxation treaty between the UK and Spain in place. So even though the UK is not part of the EU anymore, but that treaty stays in place, and you still need to comply if you come to live in Spain and you have affairs back in the UK from a company point of view. You still need to comply with those in the UK, but you being paid as an employee and going to live here in Spain, you will need to pay taxes here in Spain. Anything that you have paid or you would have paid in the UK that is related to the same income or the same source of income would be offset from what you need to pay here in Spain. All you need to do to your accountant here in Spain is just to show or to give him the tax returns that you have done back in the UK and where you have to pay already on certain things on certain income of your company back in the UK, and those could be offset here from your income, your tax.
So generally
you don't pay twice. You pay just according to the rules on every single country. If in the UK the maximum income tax rate is 40 or 45%, here we have 47%. So anything that is on excess, if you are on that limit, then you will need to pay the extra 2% here in Spain because our limit is higher. But it doesn't mean that you need to pay again the full 47% on everything. If you already paid, for example, the 45 back in the UK or 40% because you are high rate taxpayer, then here is just a matter of adding the extra on the top, which is not nice, I understand, but that's how that will work from the double taxation treaty.
Excellent, very well explained. And Adam Farmelo says, good morning from Wolverhampton. Hello, Adam, and the whole of Wolverhampton. And Owen Hazel, here we go. This is just a shout out for Lucia, and just wanted to say how impressed we've been with Lucia. She's really understood our plans. Is currently setting up some short-term investments for us, and we're not even living in Spain yet. So, hello.
Thank you, and good morning. Regards to Karen as well.
Good. Nigel Maguire says thank you. That was very helpful. Janet Stanton says, hi everyone. If I move this year on a non-lucrative visa and have my forms to submit next year, what happens with my non-resident tax on my property? I.e., when do I pay that until? Ah, yes. So she's switching from a non-resident to a resident. So how does that split down?
Okay, when would that happen? I mean, so I moved this year. Okay, so for this year, let's start with 2024. because you are going to be non-resident, non-tax resident for 2024, you still submit your non-residency tax for your property here in Spain, which is the form that has a deadline at the 31st of December 2024. Then for following year, it will depend on when that situation changes. So I will need to know exactly how would that be. So if you want to send a message or an email later on, Janet, I'm able to tell you or to have a discussion on that. So as when you would be liable for local taxes here in Spain as a tax resident, of course.
So it depends a lot on what part of the year she moves. Is that the? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So good. Lucia's email, by the way, for Janet and everybody, is in the video description below. So not in the comments. That's a different thing. You can find it below anyway. And Mike from interesting one. This is going back to Alan's question earlier. Do you pay tax on interest on savings in a third country?
Okay, that would be Alan's question was, sorry, can you remind me that? Because I don't have it here on the screen.
That was, he was saying, as a married couple on the non-lucrative visa, not claiming any pension. Yes.
Okay, now I remember. Thank you. If you're classed as tax resident already this year, and you get paid interest on your savings, any bank account that is paying you, or any short-term investment that is paying you 4%, then yes, you need to do your capital gains tax here in Spain. We used to have minimum exemptions on capital gains, not anymore. So you will need to pay taxes on that. That's where the tax efficiency comes from. My job as a financial advisor is just to see if you have investments in another country or how they are working for you, in order to be able to minimize or not to be paying taxes while you are tax resident in Spain. We have certain vehicles here from the Spanish point of view that allow you not to be paying taxes on your capital gains, on the interest on your savings. So that would be, and it doesn't mean that you would be moving your money from your home country to Spain. It's an international platform or international investment that allow you to have the money invested there with your savings, and of course rolls up without having to pay any capital gains on an annual basis. So it's very tax efficient. So that would be something to talk through a bit more on a case by case basis, I would say. But yes, the answer, straight answer and quick answer would be yes. You pay taxes on your savings.
Excellent. Let's move to one of the questions that we had pre-prepared, because that fits in with some of the ones we've had before. Non-residence tax. Are there any others that we haven't mentioned yet? What do you pay for? How much? And are there any changes for 2024?
For non-residency tax, as I said, the deadline is the end of the year, natural year, calendar year. So we have plenty of time for non-residents that have or own a property here in Spain, even though it's not rented out. So the thing is that, of course, I do advise to get in touch with your accountant as soon as you can, simply because they get very busy in certain times of the year. So now January has been complicated for them. Before the end of March is very complicated for them as well. So there are certain periods throughout the year that, of course, they are busier. So, of course, if we go back to them the end of December or beginning of December, you might be in a situation where they are not able to do those for you. So I will ask to go as soon as you can, because it's something that you need to do anyways before the end of the year. And then to pay them by the end of the year, if you like. But of course, at least to get them done. Besides that, for any person, resident or non-resident, you have your local taxes that sometimes they are missed. I mentioned before the IBI. So the IBI is a local tax that you pay directly to the town hall. That's something that allow you to have public services like the bins, the cleaning, the police and certain things that, of course, are in the area where your property is located, and that's where those taxes are used for. So that's something that you pay either once a year, and that's based on your property size and cadastral value, or certain town halls, they do give you some facilities insofar as maybe to split the payment in 3, in 4, in 12 months. So just to get to understand that, I would advise you to go to the local town hall and get to know exactly how you can arrange to pay the IBI. Besides that, nothing else for non-residents, because again, you are not resident. You either come here for certain period of time throughout the year because you have your holiday home, and that's really it. You don't need to pay anything else. And no changes.
Excellent. Robbo has a question. Do I need to make a declaration when I transfer all my money from the UK account to my Spanish bank account when I get my non-lucrative visa? It'll be a 6-figure sum, so it's over the 50,000.
Well, if you are doing that, Rob, being non-resident, of course, you are not compliant from the Modelo 720, which is the foreign assets declaration. So, of course, there is nothing that you need to inform. The only bit that you could get is when transferring the money from your UK bank account to your Spanish account, the bank may ask you where the money is coming from. Or why, because maybe it could be because you sold your property back in the UK, or they are purely savings. So, of course, that would be just a matter of questions, but nothing to declare because you are moving your savings from one place to the other, and you haven't qualified as a resident, as a tax resident, for including those bank accounts in the Modelo 720. So there would be nothing there, of course not.
Generally,
just
it's
Oh, sorry?
I was just going to say, generally, it's the sort of thing that you tell the consulate while you're applying for your visa anyway. Those are the sort of questions that you get, that you have to answer.
Yeah. Exactly. Just make sure that you keep with you any tax related that you have in your home country when you move in your funds, that you keep a record of your bank statement, if, for example, that money comes from the sale of a property, so you have that record. Nowadays, with the online world, we do have access to most of the information, but I found quite some situations where they didn't keep certain pieces of paper and they were back in the UK or back in the home country, so they need to fly or ask somebody to send them through. So better just to keep everything with you, store either in the cloud or with you in paper.
Great. Steffi's just asked a follow-up question. If you remember, she was talking about having her own company and being paid as an employee and etc. The double tax treaty question. She's saying, does that apply to national insurance paid in the UK as well? That's the social security payment.
So you carry on because you still have, I understand that with your UK company, you still will have, of course, the link of being an employee of that company. So you need to carry on with your social security payments. Here in Spain, my understanding would be, but better to check with an accountant. Whenever I don't know something or I'm not 100% sure, I will let you know straight away, because there are certain things that change or depends on the location where you have to do your taxes. So although the tax authority is a national government, public government department, it really depends on the areas where you are based. So it's different in the south than the north, so better just to talk to the local accountant. But my understanding is that because that's something that you pay in the UK, you can deduct that payment from you can offset that payment because it's a gasto, so it's an expense that you have. So you can deduct that from your income that you would have to declare here in Spain.
Great. And let's see, Alan is saying thanks for the information. And they only have the one property, it's in joint names. Do both have to fill out the forms, or just one of us?
Both. So if you own a property in joint names as a non-resident, then you need to do your taxes individually. Okay, so it's one each what you need to submit. It doesn't double the tax. It means that half of the value that is within the cadastral value in the IBI of the property belongs 50-50 to one of you, to each one of you. So if your cadastral value, let's say, is 75,000, then 32.5 would be for you, Alan, and 32.5. Oh my God. I don't know. Sorry. And 32.5 would be for your spouse.
Great. We're going to go to the halfway point in a moment, but we'll answer the two questions that we still have in the live chat. We're not getting through many of our pre-prepared questions, but fortunately,
no problem. But we are covering most of them, so which is great. I mean, I'd rather answer questions.
Brilliant.
It's more real.
It is, yes. So Ruth Sandra, good morning, Ruth. We moved over on the non-lucrative visa 2 years ago. We bought a house here in Spain, and that's our only property. And we are now selling and buying a different house. We are 65 and 58. What is the capital gains tax liability?
Okay, very good question. Right. Here in Spain, for somebody that is over the age is 65 or over the age of 65, when you sell your main residency, you have no capital gains tax at all. The thing is that, of course, and that's why you're specifying that your both ages, which is 65 and 58, so you might get capital gains tax on for the amount that belong to the person that is 58. Okay, so in that regards, it would be if you have a gain of 100,000, then 50% of that would be tax exempt, and the other 50% would be liable for capital gains tax. Capital gains tax on a sale of a property depends on the location, again, where the property is based. The town hall or the regional autonomous community will give you the value that that property has for them. So it's not the amount that you paid when you bought the property. It's not the amount that is on the registration. It's the amount that, for example, in Andalusia, it would be Junta de Andalucía. Junta de Andalucía will be giving you the amount, a coefficient that they applied to the cadastral value again, and that would be the amount, the starting point of the amount of the property, and then how much you are selling it for, and those difference will be the ones that are liable for capital gains tax. Again, here I 100% encourage you to go to speak to an accountant, a local accountant, just to get the calculations on that. Because if you were in the situation of being both of you 65, there would be a straight answer of no capital gains tax because you are selling your main residency. But because you have a mixture of ages here, then of course there would be certain ways on how to arrange that. So again, to go to speak to a local accountant because coefficients are different. It depends where the property is located. And if you want, I can cover capital gains tax, if you like me to do so, Andrew.
I tell you what, let's cover that properly in the second half.
Perfect.
Because I'm sure we'll have more questions about that anyway. And let's just a quick comment from Janet Stanton, who says, thank you. As soon as I have a date for the move, I'll be in touch. So there, yes, highly recommended. So let's just do Adrian's question that's just come up. Before we go to the halfway stage. Recently relocated to Spain and I'm currently employed by a UK-based company. As an EU citizen, it might take a few months to register as a resident. What key considerations should I keep in mind?
if that when you started to be physically here in Spain. So if you are by the time you are over the 183 days, then of course you will be classed as tax resident, which will happen throughout the middle of the year, this year, 2024. During this period of time, because you are going to be classed as non-resident here in Spain, if you have any arrangements in the UK, and I can cover them very briefly and generally, that would be something to go through very specific on a case-by-case basis. But if you have, for example, a property to sell in the UK, because you are definitely moved here in Spain, in order to avoid being liable for capital gains tax for that sale of the property in the UK, which would be none or much lower, then get to sell the property. If you have pensions and you are entitled to receive any type of pensions that are tax-free in the UK, get them done, sorted before you become tax resident. Or any tax-efficient vehicle that you have as investments back in the UK that are not going to be efficient here in Spain anymore. So just get them arranged. So just to have a proper review from your finances point of view before you become tax resident.
Great. Hope that answers the question, Adrian. If there's anything more specific, then drop the question in the live chat and we'll sort that out in the second half. But in the meantime, before we continue, let's go and find out. There's a quick message that we put on every week, all about the wonderful things available to you as YouTooSpain fans, and it features, of course, my alter egos and Doogie Dog as well. So hello to all of those, and we shall see you in a couple of minutes. This show is very helpful to you, isn't it? And you're enjoying it too. Then click on the thumbs up, you lazy colonel. I don't have any thumbs. You can use your nose, Doogie. And don't forget to subscribe as well. And rub on the bell for notifications while you're there. It's all free. Information is valuable. I need a coffee to keep my pecker up. So why not show your appreciation by buying us a coffee or 3? There's a link in the video description below. No! Use the QR code. I own the company, you know. No, you don't, Colonel. It's there for the whole show, sweetie. Just point your camera phone at it. But wait! If you think all the help and information and entertainment you get here is worth more than just a few coffees, you can support YouTooSpain with a regular monthly amount. You're not getting my money! You don't have any, Colonel. You live in a hostel. There's a link to Patreon, where you can find out what extra groovy movies you get by helping out. Oh, I'm all a quiver. One more thing. Get on with it. There's a guest waiting. Goodness knows why. The beautiful watchers are waiting too. And the ugly ones. That's enough, Colonel. There are lots of vital things that YouTooSpain gets you access to. And discounts too. What things, Master? I like things. Well, do you need private healthcare insurance? Of course I do. This gout won't go away on its own, you know. Do you need a visa or residency, sweetie? Do you need to exchange currency? What about finding a property like mine? It's huge and expensive. Just like me, darling. Ah! Or do you need advice on tax and pensions? I don't know what they are. Or do you want a Spanish mortgage? Or a discount on getting documents translated and apostilled? Or a lawyer to sort you out? I didn't do it, wasn't me. Do you need a lovely little app for learning Spanish? How about finding the best mobile phone provider? Buy a YouTooSpain t-shirt. It's a win-win-win. You can even get discounts on full mouth dental treatment and get a new smile just like Skatz. Smile! All of the links are here, down below, sweetie. If you can't find them, ask me in the comments. Are you finished yet? I need to go and kick some servants. He's not a very nice human. No, he's not. But let's get back to the show, shall we? Back to Skatz in the studio. That was my line. Oh, stop being beastly and be a good little boy. I am a good boy. You are, Doogie. Back to you, Skatz. Thank you very much, Skatz, Walter, Dick, Colonel and Doogie Dog for joining us. There, so yes, of course, if you have any questions for them, ask in the comments below and I'm sure they'll get back to you. as soon as they're available. Okay, so let's talk about capital gains tax then, and get that one covered.
Okay. In regards to capital gains tax, that applies to any interest or returns that you get from your savings. Here in Spain, we have various tax rates according to how much have you been earning on your own money. So it doesn't mean that you get taxed on your capital. It is only a tax that would apply to the returns that you generate on them. The taxes go from 19% up to 28%. The 28% got increased recently, so we used to have a maximum of 23, but now they have implemented a couple of rates more according to how much you earned. So above 300,000 would be in capital gains. You would be liable for the 28% tax on those. 19% apply for anything that is below 6,000 euros, and that's for a whole year. So, for example, in order to mitigate those, somebody that has an international savings plan that complies with the Spanish authorities and with the European Union authorities, you won't be liable for any capital gains tax up until you start taking an income from them. So while the money is invested, then they generate the returns and with compound interest, of course. And by the time you ask for X amount of money back or the whole money back is when you are liable for tax. So you can adjust the amount of taxes that you would be liable at each time throughout the year.
Okay, is that everything we need to know about that?
That's different. So the capital gains tax, because I understand when we are talking about selling a property, we call them in English capital gains tax as well. But from the Spanish point of view, we call it differently. So it's a ganancia patrimonial. So it's an increase on the value of your asset, and that goes on a different route. Okay, so that's why I cannot reply straight away to an answer or to give the answer straight away on the sale of a property, because it doesn't follow strictly the 19% up to the 28%. So we need to consider those coefficients that I mentioned to you before about where the property is located, how long have you had your property for, how much profit have you made since you bought the property till you are selling the property. You know, it's a bit more length, the process up until we are able to tell you how much you would be liable for. But then, of course, those capital gains tax that I just mentioned, that 19% up to 28, applies straight away to bank accounts, to any investments that you have, anything to do with money that is invested or in a bank account or savings account. For a property, a sale of a property is something more complicated, so to go through.
Complicated is a good word for it. And it answers Robbo's question, which he's just asked. Can we do our own declarations via Spanish bank, or would you always recommend using a tax specialist? I always say it's so complicated, and just talking to my accountant, my Hestor, when he asks questions about what's this about, how much have you earned for this, and what are your expenses, and I just glaze over. So I would always pass it on to a specialist. But what do you think, Lucia?
Yes, just to let you know, although I know how the tax system works, when I was working for private banking, that was my previous experience, working experience. I used to do the tax returns for my clients, but it got to a point where, of course, it's so many things that you need to consider, so many tax changes on an annual basis, or even throughout the middle of the year, that you need to make sure that you understand in order to do that properly, that of course the amount of work that is behind that is better just to handle it over a specialist. Myself, I do have a gestor, because I rather have that person behind me that is fully qualified and understand the situations, and also that gives you a heads up whenever there is something that you are able to apply as a self-employed, or there is a reduction on certain things if you go and buy. For example, I can tell you, if you buy specific a PC or a mobile phone or any equipment for your office, there would be certain reductions on your taxes. So I'd rather have, again, somebody that is on the top of that. And of course, from my point of view, is vital that I understand how those work, so I'm able to guide, along the way of getting to move and be Spanish resident for somebody that is an expat. Because they are complicated. I have printed off some of the tax tables that we have, and those are only for the south of Spain, where I am based. So if somebody from Catalonia would ask me about certain things, I will need to go back to the Hacienda website and get them out of there, because I can't remember. They are local taxes for regions, so it's impossible.
Steffi says, so tax returns go through the bank, you can't do them yourself?
Tax returns go through the bank. So you
They
mean when you get the piece of paper, when you get the piece of paper, if you can pay them yourself in cash? Is that the question?
I think there's a confusion there because of what the previous question.
If you go to the bank, I remember the previous question. So okay, let me go back to how the tax forms work here in Spain. You either get, which is the advisable thing to have, your digital signature, and you work together with a gestor or an accountant, so they can present your taxes on your behalf, which is very handy. That's what I do myself. So he has access to every information that the tax authorities have. He downloaded everything, arranged all the forms, and he submitted that on my behalf, because it's a registered accountant and gestor in Spain. If I were, and of course, they get direct debited into my bank account here in Spain. So I give him where I need to pay that money from. So, and that goes, for example, now in January, we have till Tuesday, I think, Tuesday the 30th, to pay the last quarter. And that's already arranged. If I were to pay them in cash, he will give me the form with the codes, the barcodes, and then you will go to the ATM in the bank and pay them in cash if you like. But of course, it's entirely up to you. But if you go into the bank, doesn't mean that you get them done over there. You need a gestor that does them for you or yourself, and then you need to go to a bank to pay them.
I think that's clear. She's made it clearer a little bit further down here. She's just talking about sending in the paper returns. No, the paper returns don't go through the bank; they go to the taxman. It's the
and
payment,
that's an electronic. It's an
Mm.
electronic system that we have here in Spain. So with all the codes that are within the barcode, then they know that you have done your returns and everything. So it gets notified automatically.
Great. Oh, Mike Ripper's making a very good point. 37 people watching, but only 5 likes. Come on, y'all. It's very American, Mike. Yeah, so absolutely. Smash that like button, as people say on YouTube. And also, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell, and you'll get notifications about all shows. It tends to be that more than half of the people watching these shows, watching anything on my channel, are people who haven't subscribed. So do subscribe. You get a lot from that. You get to find out when the next videos are on, and I also do posts throughout the week. So good point, Mike. Thank you for pointing that out. And also buymeacoffee.com, the donate QR code in the corner. Nobody's done that yet this show, but you can do that if you're watching back afterwards as well. And I always need coffee. So there we go. And Nancy's got an interesting question. Are UK military pensions taxed in the UK? There's a few government pensions that are taxed in the UK, aren't they?
So, but is she meaning by that she's located here in Spain or is planning to move here in Spain?
That's a good question. Let's assume that's what she means.
Okay, so if you have any pension in general that are taxed in the UK, or any income, better to generalize, any income that is already being taxed in the UK, and then you're liable for tax here in Spain as well. Because of the double taxation agreement, you offset what you already paid in the UK. So if you paid 20%, or you are higher rate taxpayer, 40%, 45%, then that gets deducted from any taxes that you will be liable here in Spain. So that, I think that will answer her question. If you want to be more specific to me, or you want to find out anything more from the private point of view, just feel free to send me an email, Nancy.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that there are certain, as I said, there are certain pensions that are taxed in the UK. I think it's kind of government organisations, and I think it's military personnel as well. And I think the police, various different organisations.
Yeah, but that would apply to any income, as I said. So it's not specifically for military pension or any public sector pension. It's any income. Because of the double taxation agreement, you offset anything that you paid somewhere else, as long as there is a double taxation agreement in place.
Great stuff. Oh, thank you, someone, for hitting that QR code. Brilliant. That coffee will be arriving soon. I'm very happy. And Steffi says, this is why she's asking whether she can do them herself. She's a qualified UK accountant, and she's trying to figure out, she's going to do some studying of the rules in Spain. So that's a good question. Would a qualified UK accountant be able to do them in Spain?
Of course, yeah. For yourself, no problem at all. You can download, you go onto the official website for the tax authorities, which is the Agencia Estatal Tributaria, so aeat.com, and you just type the form that you want to complete, so either Modelo 100 or Modelo 720 or anything like that. You just complete, download, and then you can do them yourself. Yeah, yes. Definitely. But again, I recommend to get a good understanding of the tax situation here in Spain, how you can benefit or take advantage of certain ways of having your financial affairs sorted, and then of course feel free to do your own ones. Yes.
And well done for saying AEAT. That's really good, because I know you speak what, 5 languages, or is it 6? So that must be difficult, because you've got to think, because it's different in everyone. So there we go. Nancy says she's moving in 27 months. Not that we are counting. Absolutely, you're counting. I can tell.
You have, plenty of time to get to know the tax system, of course.
Brilliant. Well, that's all of the live chat questions. We can move on to some pre-prepared ones. What we're doing, advanced planning. What should you do if you're moving, or you're already here, I suppose, to plan for your 2024 taxes?
So what you need to do, if you're already here and you're liable for taxes, so you are tax resident already for this current year, there are certain ways of minimize your tax implications for following year. Anything that happened already in 2023 would have to be declared before the end of June this year. So we will be declaring what has happened during 2023. So there is nothing we can do, unfortunately, for anything that has already happened in the last calendar year. But planning in advance is always good. So you can always, and that's something that has been under discussion for quite some time now with the government, insofar as having your private pension plan here in Spain. We used to have a quite good reduction on income tax for somebody that was contributing towards a private pension plan, but it got reduced massively a couple of years ago. And I know that it's been in conversations still on increase that back into what it was, which was around 10,000 euros up to 12,500 under certain conditions. So they are, I know, working on that, the opposition from the political parties, in order to get that back in. Now the maximum allowance that we have for now, again, that might change, and I will let you know, of course, is 1,500 for an individual. Different would be if you have your own company, that can increase up to 8,000 a year. And it's always good to have your pension plan set up, because you start planning for retirement. For example, for somebody that is working or is now moving to work here in Spain, so to have something that is for you, your own savings plan, either pension or private savings plan, that gets, again, tax reduction on that. Also, just to let you know, if somebody's not aware, here we have tax advantages whenever we have kids under education. So under the age of, up to the age of 25 years old, that are not working and living with us, we get reductions there. And also for people that are over the age of 65 that are dependent on us, dependent on our family. Those would be the key ones to consider if you are already living in Spain, just to get a proper arrangement of your own savings, so to put them on a specific platform that allow you not to be paying capital gains tax on a daily basis or a monthly basis or an annual basis. So just to delay them or postpone them up until when you want to take the money out. And for somebody that is planning to move to live in Spain, that's very key. And coming back to the question, advanced planning is key. If somebody is wanting to move, as Nancy said, in 27 months, I think that would be the sort of time where I don't have any specific number of months when you need to start planning, but at least a year in advance. Because if you need to sell your property, if you need to take your tax-free pension lump sum, if you need to take encash your specific savings vehicle that are tax-free in your home country, I can mention, because I have seen that there are many people from the UK now, your ISAs, your premium bonds. So those are tax beneficial vehicles that you have while you are tax resident in the UK. When you come to live in Spain, they are no longer tax advantages for you. They are taxed, fully taxed. So it's better just to get everything arranged, to have a proper sit down. As I said, I don't charge for the meetings myself, for example, simply because I need to understand the situation. Not everything is suitable for everybody. I can give you general, and that's what we are trying to help here, everybody with a general knowledge of how things work here in Spain. But of course, they are very specific implications for each individual. So at least to get to speak to somebody that understands the system here in Spain, that understands the system in your home country, and to try to get it organized before you make the final move. So you are not coming with a tax implication already on your rucksack.
Great. Oh, Steffi the accountant says we're looking at moving to Lanzarote, so I need to find out the specific stuff. Is Lanzarote? So it's the Canaries, isn't it?
Canary Islands, yes. That's lovely. I used to live there when I was a kid.
Ah, did you? Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Is it a separate autonomous community?
Yes. They have two in Canary Islands. They have Tenerife, Hierro, the east side and the west side. They have two.
Okay.
But it works similarly because it's Canary Islands. Very tax advantageous, I have to say. So well done, Steffi.
Good choice. Yeah.
Yes.
And Mike's saying, basically, how much do you cost? Or what level of savings would you need to make it worthwhile?
The way that Black Tower gets paid is because we introduce, if that's suitable for the client, we introduce the client to the specific provider. And with that specific provider, we do have an arrangement in place. So anything that you pay for an annual management charge in regards to the platform, let's say 1%, Black Tower gets paid out of that. So you don't pay any extra money on that. And what you get together with that would be, the service of us or myself in regards to how the Spanish world works, and to drive you, to be with you together during your time living in Spain. If I don't know something, as Andrew knows already, I just say, I don't know. And I go and find out in a Spanish website that is official. So I don't go on Facebook, I don't go on Google, I don't go onto, the Instagram or the bar downstairs that somebody says something. I really don't do that because it's not how it is. So you need to go to the AEAT website and find out the proper information, as well as working with a group of professionals around the coast. I'm based in Marbella. I didn't mention that before, but I'm surrounded of a group of professionals, including yourself, Skatz, that we belong to Business First, and we work along referrals. If I need somebody for insurance, I recommend the person that it belongs to Business First, and I've been doing that for the past 10 years myself, and everything is been working. So that's how I get paid. Minimum amounts, it really depends on the specific case. I don't say if you don't have 50, 60, it's not like that. Or I don't work myself. I know that there are certain companies that below 150, they don't do anything. My approach here is more being more empathetic with the person. So understanding the situation and what would be your needs. And then if it's something that I can help, then yes. If it's something that I cannot, then off to the next one, no problem. Or maybe in the future you will need to use my services.
Yeah, brilliant. So, the answer is there's no fee up front. Basically, that's good to know. Oh, Mike Ripper says, "Oh, come on, the bloke down the bar knows everything."
Everything that is wrong, that as well. Everything that might be wrong.
Yeah, sometimes they get it right, but even they don't know whether at what point they're getting it right or wrong. So yeah, there we go. And Stevie says the bloke down the pub is called Dave. Yeah, always. Tom, Dick or Harry, Dave, anything. Yeah, there we go. So are there any other changes that haven't been mentioned yet for 2024?
Not for now. The main one would be the increase of the tax reduction on for contributions to a private pension plan. In the south or locally per regions, again, it's important to know where you will be moving to. So I know that somebody's moving to Lanzarote already, which is nice. So they are trying to reduce a bit by bit income tax, for example. In Andalusia, they have made certain reductions on income tax, but generally speaking, as I said, is from 15% up to all the way to 47%. But here in Andalusia, for example, in the south, they get to reduce that, but not at the moment. I'm just looking at the questions that we had here for today. In regards to inheritance tax as well, is an important tax that we need to at least to understand. Of course, we don't come to Spain looking forward to die. Of course not. We are looking forward to enjoy life as much as we can, but just to know how it works. So again, per regions, inheritance tax is a regional taxation that belongs to the different autonomous communities. If you go to Madrid, if you go to Andalusia, if you go to Murcia, it's different. It gets nearly 100% exempt, up to €1 million inherited. If you go to the Canary Islands, you have another a different limit. You have also tax advantages there, but you have different limits than in Andalusia. And just to make sure that you have everything planned or well sorted and everything arranged while you are tax resident in Spain. It's very important, for example, if a couple is coming to live in Spain and they are not married, if something happened to one of them and they are not classed to anyone, to each one of them, so you don't have any legal paperwork, for example, so you could end up with a high inheritance tax bill for not being married. So I always recommend to get on a civil partnership or something, pareja de hecho, which is the name that we use here in Spain. So it's very important that you get that arranged just to save tax implications there, and to have your Spanish will arranged as well when you are here and have a property and have a bank account. So everything is prepared and sorted. So you have that in both languages, English and Spanish, that complies with authorities and everything. So from the tax reductions, so how to minimize them, apart from what we have just covered, I would say more or less that's in general terms what we have for 2024. Be as efficient as possible. Do get advice from a proper accountant and financial advisor that are regulated and qualified, and that would be the starting point.
Mm-hmm. Should we talk about tax efficient investments?
Mm-hmm.
What, if you've got those in your home country, in the UK, for example, what should you do for those or with those when you move to Spain?
If you are getting ready for your move to Spain, it would be just a matter of getting them moved from your tax efficient vehicle in the UK, ISA or premium bonds, towards an international platform that complies with the authorities here in Spain and throughout the European Union, and also complies if you go back to UK with the UK system. So I will just, again, depends on that specific question. That specific case. If somebody has those savings because they are planning to buy a property at some point in the future when they are coming to live in Spain, then it will really depend on that case, whether to include them into a long-term plan strategy or a shorter-term plan strategy. So it's always case by case, but yes, we do have tax-efficient vehicles for where the money is invested in order not to be liable for taxes here in Spain. So the advice here would be to move those that you already have in your home country to the one that is suitable for your life in Spain.
Great. Are there any other questions that we've got on our pre-prepared list that we haven't covered yet? Just have a quick look through those.
Mm-hmm.
We
didn't mention about the tax-free pension lump sum.
Yes. Tell us about that.
I mentioned that briefly, but just to point that out because it's important. So with something that is any tax advantage that you have, again, back in your home country, please make sure that you take advantage of those before you move to Spain. Again, tax-free pension lump sums while you are resident in the UK. For instance, you have up to 25% from the age of 55 that you are entitled to take out of your pension pot, and tax-free. Not tax-free in Spain. So if you were to do that while you are resident here in Spain already, then you get the full tax. You get income tax up to 47%. So please get that arranged before you come to live in Spain if you want to do so. But of course, it's an advantage that you can get while you are UK tax resident. So plan again in advance, well in advance before you make the move to Spain. And of course, then there are vehicles that here we have in order to be able to help you out to minimize the tax implications with any money that you bring over from any other country. So it's always good to take any tax-free lump sum from pensions, tax-free ISAs that you won't pay any capital gains on your ISAs that are invested in the UK. Everything that you can prepare over there, just get that sorted. And then, of course, I will make sure that I'm able to recommend what to do with those funds for the time that you are going to be staying in Spain, with, of course, the different objectives or the different plans that you may have for that money while you're living here in Spain.
Excellent. And says 33 watching, 16 likes. Hit the like button. Yes, of course. Everybody hit the like button, unless you've hit it once already, because if we do that, then it'll cancel it. So don't cancel your likes. Make sure you've got the thumbs up clicked. Steffi says, is it better to have a financial advisor in the region you'll be living?
The financial advice for the accountant, it would be yes, an answer. Most likely, because of the community autonomous regions, it's better to have the accountant located where you live. For a financial advisory point of view, I don't see that being a major issue. I do have clients throughout Spain. I cover the whole of Spain, including the Canary Islands. And of course, I'm always in touch with the accountant, if there is one. I'm always connected with them because, of course, there are documents or paperwork that I need to provide to them towards the end of the year or beginning of the year. For example, now before the Modelo 720, which is the foreign assets declaration, I need to provide documentation because we do investments, but they are not located in Spain. They are either in Southern Ireland, either in the UK or in any other country. So, of course, I need to be in touch with them. So the answer, short answer would be no, you don't have to, because again, for my point of view, specific site, I'm able to go onto the official website and then see if any specific answer I need to look for. But in general terms, from a financial advisory point of view, capital gains tax are for the whole over Spain exactly the same. 19 to 28. So that's pretty much all I need to know if I were to be specific from the investment point of view.
Absolutely, yes. I'd say definitely, yeah, I'd agree with you on that. For a gestor or accountant, get a local one. Although my gestor, same one as Chris, Antonio, he seems to be so diligent in looking and checking with every authority. So, and he deals with people all across Spain because of that. But yeah, generally speaking, most gestors tend to know only about their own region. Yeah, and there's a difference, I suppose, between region and province as well. The autonomous region is the big one, that's Andalusia, but lots and lots of provinces.
Then you have Malaga. Yeah.
Yes. So, Steve in Stamford. This is interesting. How would I be tax efficient with passive income from rents internationally and stocks, please? What % would I be looking at if tax resident in Spain? We are 52 and may come on the non-lucrative visa. So that's quite a detailed one.
From rents that you get internationally, I'm afraid there is nothing that you can do here in Spain to be tax efficient because it's income that you get from a property. Only, as I said, how you declare that here in Spain is that you offset any costs, you deduct all the costs that you have within those properties, which I understand you will be doing in the specific country anyways. But so efficiently from a rental income point of view, there is nothing. With the stocks there are, because the stocks usually always pay dividends on a quarterly basis or twice a year or once a year, but always paying out dividends. Every time you receive your payment from dividends, you need to pay taxes on those because there's money that is been going to your bank account. No matter whether your bank account is located in Spain or elsewhere, you are liable for taxes from your worldwide income. So then if those stocks are placed within a platform that complies with the Spanish authorities, then those dividends won't get taxed.
Okay.
So that would be the efficiency that you could be looking at with your current stocks and shares.
Great. Hope that answers your question, Steve. And I think we need you to fill out your question a little more here because I'm not sure what you're asking. Just curious what level of social charges versus income tax. You trying to ask how much is one based against the other? Is that right? So we'll do the next question first while you ask it a little more fully. And that question is from Maria Provenzano. Good day. My family and I just moved to Cádiz from the US, Soto Grande. We purchased a home in November and we just received our residency here. They're on Autónomo. Can Lucia Melgarejo help US expats or only UK? Thanks. That's a good question. How much different is the US tax?
Yeah, of course, Maria. I didn't know that somebody from the US was watching us. Congratulations on coming to Spain and getting your paperwork sorted and your residency. And Soto Grande is lovely. Cádiz is a lovely area. Now I'm able to. I was mentioning about the UK here because, of course, I saw that many of the questions came from UK citizens. But anything to do with the US, I'm able to help from the financial point of view as well. And the taxation, I mean, so with the double taxation agreement and treaty is simply, is very similar. So that's, feel free to send me, to get in touch over an email if you like, if you want to have something specifically.
Great. And that email is in the video description below. I keep saying comments, but no, video description. So thank you for your question, Maria. So anything that we haven't covered yet? Anything else you want to say before we start to round up the show?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the taxes and everything. I know that it's been a lot of information in regards to taxes, figures, modelos, forms. Yeah, it is. So that's why, just to get the appropriate advice from people that know what they are doing, that they are professionals, get the information, ask if you don't know. It's always better to ask than missing out on information, because in the end, you as an individual is the one liable for taxes, and the tax authorities will get to send a letter to you specifically, not to anybody else that is helping you out. Not that Dave in the bar or that friend across the across the street. So it's to you directly with your tax number that gets tax implications. So always my top tip today is ask always, because it doesn't cost you anything. If you don't ask and you don't get the answer, or you don't know, then the tax authorities treats exactly the same to everybody. So that's not an option.
Absolutely. And I also say I'm not a tax expert either. I'm not an accountant. My profession is presenting, but I can pass you on to people like Lucia who are the experts. That's what my guests are for. So there we go. Any more live chat questions and comments before I tell you who's on next week's show? There's a little bit of a time lag. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for any questions to come in to the live chat, let me just remind you that if you have any more questions or comments after we go off the air, or if you're, of course, watching the show backwards, if you're watching the show afterwards,
that would be
that would be great. Put your questions, preferably forwards, in the YouTube comments below. Don't put them on some random Facebook expat group. But a lot of people seem to be doing that, because where you found where I've put the link into the YouTube thing from Facebook, don't just go back to that when you've finished watching the show and ask the questions down there, because all of the people that watch this show, there may be thousands of people watching this show that need the information, the answer to your question as well. So it needs to be on YouTube underneath the video. And we like to help everybody. If you just put it on the Facebook group, there's only me who will see it, and I haven't got the time to put all of those questions underneath and transfer them all, because there may be hundreds or even thousands of them. So anyway, it's best to help everybody, isn't it? And as we always say, it's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. I had to reach for that one. It's miles away. Okay. So, any more questions? Just people saying thank you. Steffi saying thank you. This has been really helpful. You are welcome. Of course, once again, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and click on the bell if you haven't already, so you'll be the first to know what's coming up each week on the live shows and the midweek videos. And your last chance now to use the QR code, or you can you get the link below in the video description to the buymeacoffee.com page, where you can make a donation. If this information that you've had today has been really, really helpful, then do that. That's a good way to pay us back. No more live questions have come in. Mike Ripper says, great, good show again. Thanks very much, both. So that is all of the questions for now. I'm sure that you've got
For now,
more.
as you said, for now.
For now, yeah, I'm sure people watching back afterwards will have more questions. But just before I tell you what's happening on next week's show and roundup, let's say a huge thank you to Lucia for being a wonderful guest. Give her a virtual hug and a kiss, and we will see you, I'm sure, on another show in the very near future.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Skatz. A pleasure.
You're very welcome. So let's say goodbye for now. Give you a wave off. Everybody give her a wave.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Excellent. So what is happening on next Saturday's show? Should we have a drum roll? Yeah, it's Chris from Upsticks. Yes, of course it is. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that Chris was going to be on this week's show, but I had a shuffle around because Lucia couldn't come on next week. And also, it's Chris's wife's birthday today. Hi, Lara. And I'm heading off there this afternoon to play some music for her at a party. That's going to be lovely. So happy birthday, Lara. And that's helped Chris. So what's going to be happening next week and the week after is Chris will be on the show. He'll be doing 2 shows in a row. One of them is going to be about bringing your car to Spain. And Lara, who is running that side of the business now, and Upsticks Drive, may be joining us for that one as well, because she's learnt all of the ins and outs. The other show is going to be about getting permanent residency in Spain. I don't know which order we'll do it in. We'll decide that during the week. And of course, Chris will always be available to answer all of your questions about residency and visas, anything else to do with moving to Spain and living here. So have your questions ready, or just prepare yourself for a lovely chat. And in the meantime, of course, you can ask questions in advance on the YouTooSpain Facebook community, which is the group, that's the private group, or there's the YouTooSpain Facebook page, which is the open public group. Not group, it's a page. There's a difference between a group and a page on Facebook. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I've got both. So thank you once again, all of you, for joining us on the live chat, or for watching the video back afterwards and leaving comments and hitting the like button and buyingmeacoffee.com all up there. I'll see you either on the Wednesday evening midweek video. They're always really, really helpful and full of the characters. And or on the video diaries, which are now coming out every Friday. That's the more personal, what's happening to me kind of show, or live on Saturday mornings like this one at our regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, or in the Canary Islands, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe, or 4 o'clock in the morning if you're in New York. Hello to all of our American watchers who tend to watch this back afterwards, and to the thousands and thousands of people who make this worthwhile. Thank you all once again. And let me just check on the live chat to anybody who's saying thank you. Lovely, lovely. Oh, Ant has asked a question. It was after the time. Let's have a look what that was. Sorry, what is the percent? Oh, what percentage is income and what percentage relates to social taxes? Oh, no, we've still got Lucia in the background. Shall we answer this one? Let's get Lucia back on. Hello again, Lucia. She's not left.
Hello.
Yeah, we had a quick question, which Ant was just clarifying.
Yes.
So what percentage is income tax and what percentage relates to social taxes? Because currently they're living in France. They're going to be moving to Spain. Currently, France income tax is 6%, but social charges are higher, around 30 to 40%. Hope that's clearer. Sorry.
Okay, income tax here, again, they are going to, I'm just looking at my paper here, not to make any mistake. So here they go from 19% up to 47% on a scale. So it depends on how much you earn. Then for the social taxes, it depends whether you are self-employed or employed. If you are self-employed, the social taxes are the monthly payment that you do as a self-employed person, which can go from 80, which is the minimum taxes that you have when you first time being self-employed, up to around 540 something, nearly 600 euros a month. for a self-employed person, according to the amount of income that you earn. Okay, so that would be social taxes for autonomous. Then if you are employed, it really depends on the level where you are employed to the company here in Spain. So it varies, but you don't pay that on the top. I mean, that gets deducted from your salary straight away. I would say that is around 3 to 4%, generally speaking, from your own, from your salary, from your pay slip. You can see, you are able to see social taxes on 3% from memory. That would be it. And then income tax, again, if you earn over 300,000 euros a year, then you go up to the scale of 47%. If you are up to 60,000, you pay 37%. So very similar to the ones in France. I do have clients living in France, and I know that the taxes are quite quite high in France, and income tax are a bit higher in France compared to Spanish ones, because I did have certain cases recently and dealing with that and looking into that together with the client and his accountant back in France, and I know that they are quite higher there in France compared to Spain.
Great. And Maria says, for next week, bringing vehicles from the US to, please, if possible. Thank you. Yes, that's an interesting question. We've done a lot of these programs before with Chris, all about bringing your car from the UK, for example, or from nearer, from Northern Europe. But that will be a good question, and I'm sure he's dealt with that one before. And let's see if I can read Ant's message in Spanish. Let's give this a shot. Skatz, felicitaciones a su invitado por su dominio y pronunciación en un idioma extranjero. Sabemos lo difícil que es. Sí, bravo, señora.
Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup.
Should we translate that for anybody who's?
Thank you very much.
thank you to your guest for dominio. Is that your expertise and pronunciation?
Yeah, for being able to talk in a different language than yours, so we know how complicated is that. So yeah, felicitaciones, congratulations. Thank you very much. I'm fluent in English because all my clients are expats. So and the main language that I use is English. So, but yeah, able to speak others.
Brilliant. Yes. John the Joiner says, thanks a million for all your research and tips. Incredibly helpful and encouraging for our escape plans. Yes. You're obviously in the UK then, if you're talking about escape. So. Maria says, if I may add one more question, we understand that as autonomo, we don't get the double taxation benefit. Is that correct? Our income is 100% US income.
But yeah, I would need to know a bit more here, because if you are self-employed here in Spain, but then you are working as a self-employed to a US company, that would be treated differently than if you are generated your income here in Spain, working from yourself here in Spain. You do pay taxes here in Spain as well. So I don't really, I would need to know a bit more information, Maria, on that. So feel free to send me a message, and then we can locate a time to run through that, because I will need to understand a bit more.
Great. Okay. So we'll leave you on the screen while we say the final goodbyes. So that is all for this week. I've told you everything you need to know and said where you can find us on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram as well, which is, I think, at YouTooSpain. Fairly easy to find. I've only just set up that account. I had just an individual personal one, but if you can friend or follow or whatever it is you do on Instagram, follow. Yes, follow. You see, I'm so new to this. I am so old. It feels like I'm going back 20 years.
I want to bring you into TikTok.
I don't know. I can't have too many social media, because I spend so much time on Facebook, because a lot of the people that watch this show, of course, if you're moving, those are people who've deciding kind of heading towards retirement. So 45, 55, 65 and above. So there we go. They tend to watch Facebook. So that is all for this week. Maria says, got it, I will connect directly, thank you. So somebody pass around the very healthy tax cookies. Peace and love to everybody, or peas and fluff. And here's one final message from all of us here, all my alter egos and Doogie Dog here at YouTooSpain, and we will see you soon. Bye bye for now. Bye lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? Alright then. Look mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.